but there are a few. Usually it's grassroots that are really dedicated and trying to do good work. But I wanted to ask you, as far as fuckery that happens around when you're a Green Party candidate trying to get on the ballot and whatnot. Matthew Ho was on my show, and as you know, he had to take his case to court because the Democrats were doing all kinds of crazy things. Besides keeping him off the ballot, they were posing as Green Party members when they were calling people and about these petitions. So could you talk a little bit about your experience running and what's going on, what we're hearing about?
Yeah, so I actually know Matthew, like we talk sometimes. He's he's a great guy.
Yeah,
but right, we've got our own issues. It was in 2020 that they tried to sue Greens off the ballot here in Texas, and the courts ruled in, Green, third parties' favor. And I think the way it was explained to me is that the Libertarians and the Greens were having to work together for the ballot access and to fight, getting kicked off, because if they're going to kick Greens off, they're going to come, it's basically sets a precedent to get rid of all third parties. So
right,
we had a, mutual
independence,
consideration there. Yeah. But, it's like we're decentralized. So a lot of the things that I do, like I have a small group of volunteers. So often, we're doing our own thing and we're trying to interact with the public, and like the state party's handling, some of the other concerns that we have to deal with, legal updates and things like that. I did, for me, like I get a lot of like hate mail because people think, because I support abortion rights, I'm a terrible person. So like we get that. And then as far as Democratic issues and fuckery, it's really just like a cult mindset about, you're the enemy. Like that's the way we're framed here, right? Like, and I'm like, oh, so what happened to Medicare for all? And nobody has anything to say about it, So that's kind of more or less like, it's just like more culture, culture war.
So you're not having the same tactics being used in that aggressive way.
No, I think it's also because our state is so big and spread out, like it's already hard to organize here. I can tell you that from my own experience. So yeah, I don't think that they're going to consolidate their efforts for this race, because they know that, the incumbent and the other guy are wealthy and they're, they've got a lot of name recognition. So I think they see us as small potatoes.
What about the debate stage? How, could you tell our audience how hard it is to get on a debate stage? Because it educated me, because it's always been a bit hard, but now they're making it quite impossible.
So the threshold was $50,000 to be able to debate on stage. So obviously it was just the two millionaire candidates that got invited. And the fun thing is I was born in Brownsville, Texas. So it's called Rio Grande Valley. That's where I'm from. And that's where they held their debates. They did a lot of organizing down there, trying to secure votes, because they see, Latino people as a monolith, and they want to pander to the base. And yeah, I think it's really interesting to see, it not working. Because most people I talk to are like, oh, thank God you're running. I didn't know. I'll vote now.
Oh yeah, because people just won't vote at all. Yeah, that's where people are at. Yeah. Well, that's good to hear that you're encouraging some people to at least get, I have some friends and colleagues that are just like done with the electoral system. So, hearing you say that you're going to try to make some changes and are really trying to stick by the values is refreshing, because, people really threw their hat in, they threw in their last few dollars in for Bernie Sanders and for AOC. And it's just like, they've just been voting for a war, right? And and not helping working people and all the things they promised. Not one single one of those promises, even though they have the majority, not one has come true. So I think people are in a real, they're either angry or apathetic or both. And so it must be a tough midterm. Those coffee meetups must be
Oh my God. Yeah, I can tell, some of the conversations we had at work.
Yeah.
Like, some of the conversations that we've had, just been in the grocery store. Like it's just one of those things. I think, and that's also too why I felt really important. Like I don't want to be a non-voter. I don't want to be apathetic to what's happening. And as an activist, I really felt like we weren't able to get things done.
Okay.
There's not enough money backing us. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been in courtrooms trying to fight for water rights and, reject pipeline expansions, things like that. And it doesn't matter how much the public rejects these things. The pro-corporate politicians are going to always stab people in the back because they're not invested in people's material conditions getting better. They're not invested in our schools and our communities and our water quality. So I really hope to empower more people to, I'm always supportive of direct action and mutual aid. I try to, I've been helping as much as I can for as long as I have been able to. My kids and we always went to protests and we, wrote letters and things like that. It's set up to make sure that people that are poor and working class aren't represented. And we need to fight back for that. So I understand the apathy, but I can't relate to that decision. I'm too stubborn.
There you go. Understood. Fair enough. So Reef is with us, and I want to give a big shout out to Independent News Network, which you can find on Twitter and social media. And they were kind enough to lift up the tech part of my podcast and get my name out there. So thank you, Indy and Reef for doing the engineering. I really appreciate INN, and we're kind of a ragtag group of content creators with all different ideas and views, but we are able to be seen and heard because of their hard work. So thank you. And nobody gets a ton of cash for it. We do it for the love, I guess. Right. Right, Reef. So Reef,